a trip in this COVID environment, and had a great time actually. We're
Pretty
here, yeah,
relaxing.
pretty much here today to just tell you a little bit about how that went, what you can expect in this new environment that we're in, how you can practice social distancing. Jesus, bro.
Ding ding ding. Ding 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 ding. What is it?
Social distancing. All
Oh,
right, cool, cool.
okay.
It's an air and they beat.
All right, guys, and before we even I guess get into much of the trip and how it went, just go ahead and like this video,
Like it,
subscribe to our
subscribe,
channels,
and
just so that
put on the push notifications. I cut
yeah,
you
yeah,
off.
yeah,
Sorry.
the push notification, yeah, definitely, yeah, y'all gotta put on the push notification so that
So
you
you
know
know.
whenever we're dropping a video, like,
Ding, ding,
subscribe,
ding.
and then comment. All right, guys, so as some of y'all may know, we actually just came back from Jamaica not too long ago. We took this trip right around July 4th weekend. I was celebrating my wife's birthday. And yeah, so we took that trip and we wanted to make sure that we could document it to make sure that you guys could get a feel for what it's like traveling in that new environment that we're in. So we took a couple of notes and we're just going to share them with you now.
Few brief tips. So if you guys are brave enough, obviously,
Y'all
some
should be
people
brave.
are not yet ready. But if you guys are brave enough, just stay tuned. We got a couple of tips for you guys if you plan on traveling during the COVID. You got
But I'll say, so prior to even flying out, what you have to do when it comes to Jamaica, you have to actually fill out this questionnaire and they have to approve it prior to actually the airline even allowing you to fly in. So I know we filled it out. We actually flew from DC to Miami, had a layover there, and then our flight from Miami to Jamaica, that's when the attendants were at the gate talking about, if you guys filled out this questionnaire, we can't let you guys board unless you have that.
Yeah.
So I'll drop the link to that questionnaire below so that you guys can see what it's like. But it just asks a couple basic questions talking about, if you've flown somewhere recently, have you been in contact, I guess, with people who may have had COVID, and then if you work in that environment, things like that. So it was pretty much cool. Let's get into what it was like actually going to the airport, preparing to fly, going to a terminal, things like that.
What's going on, everyone? So we just got our boarding passes. Pretty smooth transition, and it's just different now as far as just the travel. Just taking extra precaution now with safety and everything. Everybody got masks and gloves, so it's pretty good. It's still early, but honestly, the airports are still empty. So granted, I understand there's a fear of travel right now, but it's not too bad to take advantage of as long as you guys are being safe. So what do you think? How do you feel?
Yeah, I think it's cool, especially the fact that all the little attendants are wearing gloves and everything. So when they touch your passport, it's like they got gloves on and they're touching other people's stuff they got gloves on. But even then, you just gotta make sure that using your hand sanitizer and stuff at all times, because you just never know. But yeah, everything's been pretty smooth, honestly, in my opinion. Security was a breeze. Was easy. Now I'm just waiting on Bay. How's security go, babe?
I mean, it's pretty standard. The only difference now is that we have to touch our bins. Like the security won't touch your bins, but besides that, it's pretty standard. They try to be thorough and everything, so it's not bad, honestly.
Also, y'all gotta make sure y'all have pre-check, bro. Because I got all this gear with me. And it helps to not have to take all this stuff out of my bag if I'm in a rush. Or honestly, I just be lazy. I don't want to take off my shoes. Don't want to do none of that. So, yeah. Make sure you get that. So we out here. It's like it's 4:50 in the morning. Flight's at 6:50. 6:45.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So goal is to show you guys what it's like to travel in this new environment that we're in. We've taken the necessary precaution. Got our masks, got endless hand sanitizer with us, endless gloves, and Delta is doing a great job of social distancing, unlike American Airlines, which is what we took to get here in Miami. But we'll tell you guys about that later. Stay tuned.
Well, there's a clear difference when we flew. When we flew Delta versus American.
Yeah.
American. So, we flew Delta first, or was it American?
So we flew from DC to Miami on American, and then from Miami to Jamaica on Delta.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, both flights they're like pretty precautious as far as your safety and everything, but there's a clear difference. And we both chose Delta. I mean, one, they definitely practice a lot of social distancing. They even give you a little care packet, because I know a lot of planes are not even giving you snacks or anything. So American, step your game up. Try to put in a Ziploc like Delta did. No shade, but shade. Okay, we got some trees today.
That was the thing. So like American had this little baggie or whatever, but the thing about Delta was, one, when I booked the flight, you can't sit next to anyone. So Sha and I, well, we couldn't sit next to each other at all.
Yeah.
So you had that. They're not packing out the planes, whereas American, we flew on it was a 2x2. So I mean, granted, it was you and I sitting next to each other. But then I guess two people sitting on the aisle next to us, that wasn't too bad. But if you're on those, 3x3 flights, that's when it can become a little problematic. You don't want, somebody sitting to your left. You know what I'm saying? So, I'd say American needs to get better at that. Delta is doing a bang up job. So
yeah, basically with Delta, what they did is, which was actually smart, I didn't even think about this, but they actually started, instead of kind of the normalcy of boarding from the front to back to avoid, in groups, they basically had you boarding from the people all the way in the back going to the front to kind of avoid like the congestion. So it was actually pretty smart. So I think even during these times and, a lot of downtime we've had quarantining, I'm pretty sure like airlines have been trying to do like a lot of thorough trainings, really thinking of like the best possible way once we really start flying again and making this more of our normalcy, like how to react to it. Like our flights weren't necessarily like the emptiest per se, so people are still flying. I think people are kind of getting restless now, so they're really trying to give this a chance. But for sure, like they're taking a lot of precautions regarding like our safety and how we approach going on the plane, making sure things are like upkept well and sanitized and things like that too. So
yeah. Now, the experience kind of changed dramatically once we got to Jamaica. When we got to Jamaica, it was like these people taking it seriously.
Yeah.
So I mean, as soon as we got off the plane, you walk into the hallway. You're thinking like, even prior to getting to customs, we had temperature checks. So before they even checking our temperature, they got, I guess, bottles of hand sanitizer. Give you hand sanitizer, tell you to rub your hands, check your temperature, and they'll write it down, put it on a piece of paper, and you have to take it to this questionnaire desk. So after you do that, you go to the desk. They ask you a series of questions. You give them that paperwork that we talked about. All right. So I didn't mention that you'd have to actually print out that paperwork that you fill out online. saying that you're approved to come to Jamaica, you'll provide that to them, and then they'll actually, I guess, ask you another series of questions, whatever, and from there they'll actually say, I guess based off their assessment, they'll give you a Q card or a T card, and the Q card essentially states that wherever you're going, you have to stay within that specific area. So for us, we had to stay within our resort. We can go to places, maybe I guess a couple of miles away, maybe or something like that.
No, I thought we had to stay.
Yeah, I mean,
on the resort.
yeah, it's either you're just staying legit at the resort, can't really go much like anywhere else, or you could, go within reason within that particular resort. So you had that, and then I guess the T card. Timmy ended up getting that, but.
That's his
I think,
brother,
yeah, it's my
way,
brother.
so.
But they gave him, you'll probably see him somewhere in this video. But they gave him a T card, and essentially he was allowed to leave the resort and go to I guess to some other places within reason also. But with this T card, he couldn't even go to, like, they said he can't go to like Kingston or something like that. So he couldn't just traverse Jamaica. But yeah, so I think that was a safe way of doing things, and they I think they did a good job of not only telling us that we had to do this, but ensuring we did do it. Like, they put us in a cab. They I guess got all our address information, and then we had to provide all that information to our the hotel.
So yeah, as soon as we got to the resort, they checked our temperatures. They sanitized our luggage. They were really thorough about everything. Like, anything that we didn't think about, they were like 10 steps ahead. So the fact of the matter, I guess, like, it really took me, caught me off guard to like even see the luggage being sanitized. But I'm like, yeah, it's going through a lot of different portals and everything like that. So that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I mean, that's essentially what happened. Like, when we first stepped into the resort, they were back.
The craziest thing to me was the fact that they sealed the door. So housekeeping, they cleaned out all the rooms, or I guess the rooms that people would be occupying, and so they would clean those out, sanitize everything, and legit put a seal on the door that you could see when you got there. And it's like, I guess it was supposed to highlight the fact that once they cleaned it, no one was there, so we would be the first ones to go inside the room after it had been cleansed. So I thought that was pretty dope. I thought that was just a way for Hilton to kind of highlight, we care, and we want you guys to know that we're thinking about your safety. So I thought that was dope. And then I guess some other things I'd say, like, when we're walking around, like, you don't really have paper menus. They had that mobile scan now, so if you were asking, like, hey, what drinks do you guys have, or like, what's on the menu tonight, they'll tell you, use your camera, and you can just scan it and stuff like that, and they'll show you a list of what's on the menu. So I could say I thoroughly enjoyed the trip. And I think a couple of the questions that people might have is, like, being that we're in this environment, you would think that your activities are kind of limited, and that is the case to some degree. I mean, people were in the pool and enjoying and stuff like that. I was personally hesitant to get in the pool, and it's not like there are that many people there, but I'm just like, I'm gonna chill. I don't know if I want to do all that, but there were some other activities, like, just kind of, Sha and I went, I guess, sailing.
Yeah.
That was cool. Sailing was pretty dope. We actually went on this, like, water bike, which was hilarious. That was, I don't even know how you explain something like that, but
I mean, you'll just have to see the video. See the video to understand.
But so you had that, and then you had, it's an all-inclusive resort, so you had your nice drinks. They did a great job with that. The food was dope. Sha is plant-based, so they had tons of options for her. I think she was worried about that at first.
Yeah, I think
they had
so,
some great
but
options.
Because this is still kind of a new journey, like, it's been like 9 months or so since I've transitioned into being more so like plant-based / vegan diet. So, like, when we travel and everything, I have to usually be like very cautious. But it didn't really prompt me to think like, Jamaica, just being with their background of having like Rastafarians and just like the way they practice their culture. A lot of foods choices people have, they can vary it between meats or just, vegan options or vegetarian, things like that. So they definitely over exceeded my expectations on that. So it was a lot of good food, good drinks, a good time just to get away and not necessarily have to think about some of the madness. But of course you get prompted, like with the sanitizer. Of course, like here and there we were wearing our face masks and things, so we were still very cautious on the resort. So yeah, it was just a really good time just to like get away for a couple of days and just relax and stuff. So
Time to hit the beach, baby. Right.
It. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. Bad bit contest. You in first place.
Client.
You in first place. You in first place.
Did. Good. Can we get what's the good drink?
Have you ever tried? Well, look, that's today's special reggae beat.
Reggae.
Remember, Jamaica is a tropical country right here in Jamaica, and remember it was a while since no one has can be out. So like social distance and stuff like that. It's a pleasure right now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
For real. So welcome to Jamaica, welcome to the Hilton Resort, alright?
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Try the reggae beat.
So you want one or two of them? Talk to me.
Two
times.
Two times.
So my friends, respect, alright?
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna give you some extra rum inside too, alright?
Hey.
Yeah, man.
Ocean's over there. Shit, beautiful.
You went kayaking?
Nah, they was we went at like 3:30 and they were like, nah, we done.
How much does it cost?
I don't think it costs anything.
Oh, wow.
Over there, so like, yeah,
I might do that drink tomorrow.
yeah, about to do it like 9:30, 10 minutes.
Did you go in the water?
Yeah, went to the.
That's it, though. I'm gonna try it out.
Hey, twerk.
I'm weak.
Yo,
They out here
some
living.
shawties out here, yo.
Live your best life, bro.
They got the little
On a scale of 1 to 10, babe, how good does this feel?
We're at 10.5.
10.5?
10.5. You never
Sheesh.
realize the good things until it's taken away from you. Travel is life for us. And since the quarantine, we have not been able to travel like that. But Ray definitely came through and told me like 2 days ago when we were about to come here. I definitely did not believe it was about to happen. And yeah, everything kind of came through. So shout out to Bay for that.
Kudos to me. So now I guess like at the conclusion of our trip when it was time to go, we got scared because we thought we were about to miss our flight.
Oh yeah, because
was
they
hilarious.
like, I don't know. I think it was because we were just like really like, okay, well the airport isn't that far, so we can just take a quick cab. But they were just like, yeah, they were actually panicking themselves because I think they might have actually called like somebody they knew or something.
They said
too.
so. They was like, "You're supposed to be at the airport 3 hours early."
we're like,
we're thinking, nah, maybe like 2 hours, or
Yeah.
so. It's a small airport. It's not a lot of people, you know. And we knew it wasn't like we weren't far from the airport at all. But so this is the extra level of precaution that they took also at this resort. So there were only, I guess, certain types of cabs that they were allowing their guests to take to the airport because they knew that, you know, they themselves, those cab drivers, were taking the necessary precautions, and that they would be on the hook if anything happened to us. So I very much respected that, and I applaud them for doing something like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I thought that was cool. We ended up making our flight and getting to the airport on time. Before we even got to the airport, or before we walked inside, legit had to use hand sanitizer. It's not something that they were just conveying. They were enforcing this.
Yeah, definitely.
You had someone at the door saying, whoa, nah.
Yeah, they
You're
wouldn't
not
even
going
let
anywhere.
you
Take
in.
this hand sanitizer.
So they were
Yeah.
really on top of it.
Yep. So you had that. They were, you know, just like America, they had their social distancing lines on the ground. I think that they were doing a better job of enforcing it. Like if they saw someone, they'll be like,
Oh,
"Whoa,
yeah,
back
definitely,
up, back
yeah,
up."
'cause I feel
The most hilarious part to me was we get on our flight. We had our flight. We had a connection in Charlotte, and then we went to BWI. But as soon as we got to the States, we land. We're like, I know we were both like, let's see what precautions America's taking about all of this, knowing that, you know, this has been polarizing in the news and things like that. So we land. This is an international flight. You know, I feel like not everyone is from America who's flying in, so
Yeah.
you would think that there's some level of precaution that's being taken, but nah. No hand sanitizer, no questions, no nothing. It's just you just business as usual.
I don't know.
Go
We might have to
through
make a
customs. That's it.
'Cause USA?
Yeah. There's a like when you're checking in, when you're leaving when we were checking in, there was this I guess question like where like have you traveled to these states? And I think that those are the state beyond. I mean to these
Hotspots,
countries. Excuse me.
or-
Yeah. It's the countries. So they're the ones that I believe Trump banned. So
Oh, okay.
the ones that he banned, I think, are on that list, and they just basically ask you, have you been to this country since you've been traveling or whatever? And they did that like when we were in Spain in February also. So I think nothing has really changed ever since, you know, we saw the height of the pandemic. So we go through customs, everything's cool. The only thing I think you'll see is like a couple sanitizer dispensers or dispensers of sanitizer.
Yeah, so it's kind of
That's
like,
it.
whereas it's like they'll have the sanitizer dispensers ever so often and everything too. But like with Jamaica, like it's mandatory to put the sanitizer on.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, okay, I can pass by like 3 sanitizer stations like while I'm in the airport, and I don't have to feel obligated to sanitize my hands. Whereas Jamaica is like, hey, before you step foot in the airport, before you get on the plane, when you get off the plane, like they are on top of it.
Like-
Whereas here, before we end, I want you to at least let them know, because actually, like with the trip itself, like I didn't even know like the trip was gonna happen. I didn't know I was gonna go anywhere.
Yeah, it was a
For me,
surprise.
it was more so like, okay, let's just do a hotel in DC for the night, something really chill. Like I was trying to even look for activities, and of course this guy is over here just like, oh yeah, sure, we can do axe throwing and all this other stuff. But anyways, 2 days before, he tells me Jamaica. But like, how did you come up like on Jamaica out of like
that's a
any
good
other
question, babe.
any other question?
good
Like,
question.
well, questions, any other countries? Like, how did you come up with, oh, let's go to Jamaica kind of
All
thing?
right, so my brother and I did. We've been doing a lot of research because I mean we've been itching to travel, and there's a couple places like Antigua that are allowing American citizens in. Jamaica was one of them, but we wanted to make sure that not only could we travel there, but we wouldn't be forced to stay there for 14 days or something like that. I also wanted to look at their COVID numbers at the time. When we left, Jamaica had maybe I don't know if they had 1,000 cases or so. They may have had 1,000, but they only had 10 deaths. And when we went, they had been open to tourists worldwide for about 2 weeks, and they had been handling, you know, everything since then. So I didn't think that, you know, they opened up and then you just had an onslaught of cases as soon as you allowed tourists in. I think they were still doing a great job of handling it. So that's why I was like, okay, this is something that we could do. I was actually thinking about Mexico for a second. You can't travel to Mexico via land, but you can actually travel through the air. But my concern was that, I mean, they had like 20-some thousand deaths or something like that. I was like,
Yeah, so
I don't know if they're handling that too well. So yeah, I mean, that was our trip for the most part. I'd say just leave some questions in the comments below. Ask us how things went. ask us, maybe highlight something that we weren't able to highlight, so that we can share with other people. We actually do want to encourage people to think about traveling and thinking about doing it safely. That's why we want to make this video. We didn't want people to think that there's no way you could travel in this environment. I think that there are safe ways that you can move, and there's a way that you could be risk averse in doing so. So just like, comment, subscribe,
Definitely.
push notification.
Sha
Bing, bing.
and Manny TV. We out.